Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, there's nothing wrong with wanting sex. It's actually a healthy thing. And you know what? If you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals. We pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more, in a light and in a conversational fashion. And, you know, if you like how we do things around here, I'm suspecting you do because you're listening. And if you are, keep listening. Subscribe. Hit that old subscribe button. Gives you a 5-star rating on your podcast provider of choice. We're available pretty much everywhere. Places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google. Plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So you can give us a like and subscribe there as well. We'd absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, Letterboxd, the TikTok, and probably a few other places like Blue Sky and Threads, and I lose track. But we're at In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because guess what? If we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it all that much more when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please do us that ultimate kindness. Come on by and pay us a visit. Ladies and gentlemen, we're a little late on this, but we got a good one. It is still playing, hopefully, somewhere. Probably touring around Canada as we speak. A little piece of French-Canadian cinema, a piece that I was really fond of, and by one of my favorite filmmakers. The film is called Two Women, or on French, Deux Femmes en Or. And it's a bit of a loose remake on a play and another story, but it's a story of two struggling mothers who grapple with unfulfilled expectations and societal pressures as they navigate their roles as wives and professionals. But when one woman's unexpected affair sparks a re-evaluation of their lives and priorities, things start to get interesting. It stars Laurence Leboeuf, who you may know from a few different shows, and Karine Gonthier-Hyndman, who was an absolute revelation. I absolutely loved her. She was hilarious. But this film is by the one and only Chloe Robichaud, who has done some really fantastic work with Days of Happiness and Sarah Prefers to Run, and she's definitely one of the strong up-and-coming Canadian filmmakers we've had. We've talked to her before about previous films. We are big fans, but it's refreshing to see sort of an adult sex comedy, because usually when we have these films that deal with the topics of sex, they're goofy, they're silly, they're fucking dumb. And this was not dumb. This was actually quite smart, and I loved it quite a bit. But because again, it's a smart piece of filmmaking, and again, as someone who grew up in Montreal, I love seeing French Canadian stories and French Canadian filmmakers succeed, not only in Quebec or in Canada, but around the world as well. But so, like I said, go check out Two Women. Check your local listings. But first, enjoy our talk with Chloe Robichaud, the filmmaker, because between you and me, it's a pretty good one. I mean, Chloe, obviously, it's fantastic to see again, and I mean, just congratulations on the movie. I got to watch it last night. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a sex farce that was so emotionally grounded and almost adult.
Yeah.
Walk me through, I guess, sort of the origins of making this movie and telling the story. Is this technically a remake, or is this something?
It is a remake. Well, it's a loose adaptation, I would say. Deux Femmes en Or, Two Women in Gold, was a cult film in Quebec from the 70s. Actually, I just heard this morning, for 30 years, it was the biggest box office in Quebec.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. But the critics were bad about the film. Like, the reviews were just...
Right.
They destroyed the film around that time, because there was a lot of nudity in the film. And in the 70s, it was like, oh my god, what's that? We were not used to it, and it was very raw and frontal. But the core of the film, I think we kind of passed through, and I saw the film in, you don't have that cégep, it's like in between university and high school, we have cégep. Yeah. I had a class, cinema class there, and they talk about the film, and I was like, wow, and I saw the film, like two housewives in the 70s, and trying to break free and to reaffirm their sexuality in their own terms. I thought it was very rebel. So, all of this to say, Catherine Léger, the playwright, approached me 5 years ago, and she was like, I want to adapt it into a play and then adapt it into a film. Would you like to do it? And I was like, yeah, I think, sexual emancipation is still a big subject right now.
Yeah.
And I wanted to look at this film with fresh eyes, I would say. Yeah.
No, and I mean, I think you do that because it's one of those things where we see the portrait of these two really dynamic women and just how they play off of each other and sort of trying to rediscover themselves, but then we see these, and I mean, I hate to say it, these idiot men in their lives who are just sort of trying to figure out themselves as well, but it's the confusion of it all comes from this not wanting to talk about it, which to me is so fascinating. And
yeah, they have trouble communicating.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're idiots, and if the guys are idiots,
Emotionally
everybody
so,
are.
right?
Because I think there's just everybody in this film is kind of starting the film disconnected
Right.
from themselves.
Right.
They have kids, they have their jobs, and they've been in a long-term relationship, and it's like they kind of forgot who they were. They're not their own priority, and some of them, one of the guy he has an affair.
Yeah.
Is his way. It's his way of not. How do we say? Is to not confront the whole situation.
Right.
And the other husband, well, let's say he's in complete denial of everything. He doesn't want to see that his relationship is not strong now. So I guess the film explored the lack of communication in a relationship and how it's hard to be in a long-term relationship if you're not able to confront the complexities of the relationship.
Was the use of sort of antidepressants and sort of medication something that you added? Because again, it felt very modern of just sort of that idea of, well, I feel a bit down, I'll take a pill.
Yeah, well, it was in the 70s film, for sure. There's a lot of different things. Like I said, it's a loose adaptation. There's a very... the antidepressant was the idea of Catherine Léger, the screenwriter, which I think a lot of people can relate to that. And when you take antidepressants, a lot of people will say they will lack libido. So it was a way also to kind of answer that question, why... how would at one point they would start to have libido again.
Yeah.
So that was one idea that Catherine had.
I love the ensemble in this. I mean, you've got such a fantastic group of men and women together. Talk to me a little bit about finding the right pairing, because I mean, there's also someone else in the movie, and I don't want to give it away, but it's almost a bit of stunt casting.
Yeah.
Just when I saw her, I'm like, oh, we're supposed to not like her, and then nothing happens. And I mean, I kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah. I did a really large audition process for it to, because like I said, it's a cult film.
Yeah.
Cult characters. I really wanted to find the right two women for this film, and the tone is very specific, really unique. A blend between humor and tragedy, even in a way. So when I saw Karine Gonthier-Hyndman and Laurence Leboeuf in audition, I was like blown away by their timing, their sincerity. They have a lot of their strength, but also vulnerability. And what I did was fun. I did an edit with both their auditions, so like they were talking to each other, but they were not in the same room, and the chemistry was just amazing. And they didn't even know each other, they didn't even meet. I mean, in the edit, you could just feel that chemistry, that complicity. So I was like, okay, it needs to be them. I don't need to have a callback. I was just confident. And then, you have all these cameo in the film that mostly people from Quebec might relate, because a lot of really well-known comedians, like the plumber is a really well-known comedian, or an actor. So it's fun, it's meant to be fun, but I didn't want them to do a one-man show either.
Right.
So, like, if you're outside of Quebec, you still get the film,
No, for sure.
You're not like,
for
what's happening here? Why is this guy so funny and weird all of a sudden? Yeah.
No, I mean, it makes for a really fun dynamic, and I mean, I think Karine is really what blew me away, because again, I knew a bit of Florence, I knew
Yeah.
her work, but she was out of nowhere for me, and this is such a bold performance.
Yeah.
Does it take a lot to sort of get your actors to be like, okay, we're going there? Because again, like, neither of them had any kind of fear when it came to sort of putting it out there in terms of where these characters are in their sexuality.
Well, we had to have a lot of conversation beforehand before the film, because they had to be very vulnerable in the film and even naked and all these sex scenes, So we talked, we went for coffees for dinner, and we talk about our experiences and how we feel women are portrayed on screen, and how could we make it different. So I think they were very comfortable with the way I wanted to portray these women. Like, let's say the nudity in the film is not really in the sex scenes.
Right. Yeah.
Women are not the object of desire in the film. It's the men, and we're really seeing these things through these women's point of view. And I think for both Laurence and Karine, they really enjoyed that. They was like, okay, it's something fresh. It's really something coming from our point of view. But they were courageous, that's for sure. Yeah.
How important was it for you to make sure this was a film that wasn't like sort of overtly sexy, like we were saying? Like, it wasn't a film where it was like, obviously, oh, this is sexy. It was psychologically sexy.
Yeah.
We could see it sort of mentally going on. It wasn't a question of we saw stuff going on. We could sort of project the stuff that was going on.
Yeah, and I didn't want it to be like I'm not trying. How can I say? Sorry. After my coffee, I will be much better. But I don't want people to look at the film and be aroused.
Right. That's not the kind of movie. Yeah.
That's not, when we say sexy, I think what is sexy is the connection, and even in those sex scenes, it's mostly about touching, about feeling again, about being touched by someone else, about breathing into someone else's neck. These kind of details that really make the film more sexy, I would even say, than seeing like naked body parts. So I think that's what's the difference. Yeah,
and also, it's funny.
It is funny.
And I mean, sex inherently is kind of funny. But it's one of those things where it's like you're not having people fall off the bed, or there's not anything gaggy about it. It all feels
natural.
Very organic.
Yeah.
How did you sort of, I guess, toe the line and just sort of make this something that felt, I guess, humanistically funny?
I wanted it to be realistic still.
Right.
It is funny, but you could jump into bed with someone and forget to take your socks off. These kind of details that happens.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of conversation with myself actually, kind of finding these kind of small details that people could relate to. That wasn't like you said, falling off the bed or the bed is breaking or that kind of big gag. It's all in these nuances and finding the right details that felt relatable. Yeah.
And I mean, so much of this movie plays in the smaller beats. I mean, I think of the two female leads just sort of talking in code amongst everyone about what's going on.
Yeah. And
then later on in the film, the two guys in the greenhouse sort of playing guitar, and it's like, oh, you're good, man, you're good.
Yeah,
I mean, it felt so organic. I mean, I'm kind of curious, like, was all this sort of words on the page, or did you allow your actors kind of room to, I guess, flex a little bit to sort of find the moment?
It's both, but the script was very strong. It was funny already. Catherine Léger is really good with dialogue, so it was already there. And my way of directing it was like, it is already funny. You don't have to do much. Just be sincere in what's happening. Be in the present moment in the scene, and that's what makes it funny. I really like Bill Murray kind of comedy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He's just there, and that's funny. So it's really undertone for me. A comedy that's just very subtle and just those small details of. Let's say Karine is a really physical actress, and the way that she's gonna take a sip, at one point is just so funny. It's just finding those timings. specific timing that makes a really big difference.
Well, I mean, again, in her performance, like just the simple idea of flashing the repairman at the window and then sort of committing to doing a full back bump on like that underneath the window.
Yeah, and that's all Karine. In the script it was just written she's doing yoga too.
Right.
But she did the whole thing.
Right. Right.
That's why I'm saying she's a really physical actress. She finds some details in the way she moves her body or take and I don't know, just how she uses the space in a funny way.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, bear with me. This is a bit of a loaded question, but I'm curious on your opinion on this because in watching it, it felt like a blend of a Quebecois story and a Parisien story. It felt very
French.
universal. It felt very universally French.
Right.
Not Quebecois French, not France French. It felt French. What is it about, I guess, sort of the subject of sex that the French seem to do so well that the Anglophone sides of the world seem to not get?
I don't know why. You're right. It's not that I'm saying you, but that the English market doesn't get it. But there's
been attempts, but it's never quite worked from anything. I mean, I could explain that to sort of European ideas as well. It's just
there's a freedom. There's definitely a freedom that is new to Quebec too. I would say it's been in the last few years we see more films like Two Women, but there's a freedom. I think we're not really afraid, I guess, of showing these scenes and the Quebec market is very different too because we're not. It's great if we do box office, but that's not the only objective. We're really in the cinema that's really auteur cinéma.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like American films, that it's really about, people investing money, so they want to get their money back. Here is different, I would say, so maybe we're we feel more freedom to take risk, I would say. Maybe that's one part of the answer, I don't know.
No, but I think you're right, though, because, again, I can imagine that, especially when you're doing sort of the festival circuit, like obviously congratulations on Sundance, it feels like you're probably playing with house money.
Yes, right.
It's one of those things where it's like, okay, love me or hate me, but we're here.
Exactly, that's right. So maybe that's just one of the difference,
It's amazing to see just how you've evolved. I mean, gosh, I'm a fan. We've talked before, but it's one of those things like from Sarah to Days of Happiness to this and everything else you've done. It's like, how do you feel you've evolved sort of as a storyteller? Because again, there's been such a line between sort of Quebecois filmmakers who stay in Quebec and ones who can evolve past sort of that Quebecois bubble. And you've definitely done that without having to sort of make the English language jump yet.
Well, thank you. Well, we're talking about freedom, so it's interesting, but I think I feel more free too in my way of directing. I started pretty young, I was 25 when Sarah first run was released, and there was a lot of attention on the film, and after that, on my second film, I was critical with myself, kind of you want to please everybody in a way, you want to please the festival circuits, and I kind of forgot who I was, and I think at one point, and after Days of Happiness, which was a breakthrough for me, Days of Happiness, that I just like my character in Days of Happiness, I was like, okay, I'm done being like the perfect girl, I just want to be me, I just want to do my thing, and kind of try and forget what everybody will think, and that was, that's a big step, I think, in my career, so that changed. And I had a lot of fun in doing Two Women, kind of just trying to remember why I was doing this in the first place. Every scene that I was filming, I was just trying to have fun, and so that people would kind of feel the passion I have for cinema.
Well, and so much of that comes through the movie, though, because again, that's really the theme of the whole thing. It's like, fuck the boxes.
Exactly.
How do you think I'm supposed to be as a married woman with a kid or as a woman in a relationship? It's like, I want to be whatever the hell I want to be.
Exactly, and that's my point. I'm just trying to be me, and I feel so much relief doing that. But you're talking about the English market, but I've been working too on big production like Law and Order in
That's right,
Toronto.
yeah.
And so it opened my mind also to different ways of filming and different, production style. And so I've learned a lot in these last years, being on transplant, let's say, and it's been a challenge.
The
It's
TV beast, though, is different.
Yeah, it's different. But I learned so much. So I think all these experiences kind of brought me to this point, I suppose. And I'd love to try to do a film in English. My next one might be. We'll see.
What do you think?
Yeah, we'll see.
What do you think is next going for you, just in terms of, I guess, writing your own story and being you? Because, at the same time, you don't want us to be like, you're not looking to get sucked into a Marvel movie or anything ridiculous like that.
Well,
you
that
wanna
would be a surprise, that's
but
for sure.
also at the same time, like you said, you're learning from the structure of TV. You're learning from the structure of these procedurals that just that are this machine that just have to keep going.
Yeah, so I'll keep doing that for sure because it's been such a great learning experiences. I won't stop doing TV. But yeah, who knows? I'd love to do a film in English just to challenge myself also. Because I like challenges. I like to be in a position that's just not what I'm. Because I think you learn so much from being in a different position.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. All right, last question.
Yeah.
Obviously, people will look at two women and sort of take a very almost feminist bent to it. But I didn't see that. I saw this as very much a story that we can all learn from. As audiences see this film, what do you hope women pull from it? What do you hope men pull from it?
Thank you for saying that, because I think it can speak to anyone. For me, it's, well, if people have fun, that's good.
Right. At the end of the day, that's what you want to do,
At the end of the day, if you had a laugh and you had fun, that's great. But I think the film talks about the fact that life is not just one simple and line. We have bumps, and it's complex. And can we just accept that? Can we feel less guilty?
Exactly. Yeah.
Just less guilt. If you feel less guilty
embrace the bump. Embrace the bump.
So if you can feel that after seeing the film, well, I think I did a good job then.
Well, I think you did, and then some. But
Thank
let's get down to breakfast. And just again, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate this.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.